Don't you worry, son. It will all be over soon.
Poker tells are the visual clues you get from opponents when you're playing them face to face. There have been many debates as to what certain facial expressions, body movements, eye contact, and even verbal responses might mean in regards to what hand your opponent is holding. But obviously, in online poker, there are absolutely no cookies or any other visual clues to help you discern information, even if you could do it correctly. But does that mean there are no tells at all in online poker? Well, not exactly, but certainly they are limited to the actions of your opponents only.
No picture, I tipped you.
I'm laying this down, Teddy. Top two pair. It's a monster hand, I'm gonna lay that down. Because you got 2-4, and I'm not gonna draw against a made hand.
That generally could only be one of two things: betting patterns and the amount of time they take to make their play. Betting patterns can be compared to the size of the pot, the chemistry of the board, the position, and the past betting patterns of that same player. Now that could be a lot to go on, so let's watch where typical betting patterns can give a clue as to what your opponent is holding. For example, you bet out top pair on this draw-heavy board and get re-raised immediately, even with another player yet to act behind. Now that is a tough spot, but plays like this usually mean they do have the goods. Or in this case, it could be such a huge draw that you are actually the underdog now. And how about this massive overbet on the river for a tell? Sure, you have two pair, but there is a straight and flush on the board to contend with, which strongly suggests you are now crushed here. Many players will shove like he did, trying to get you to think he is bluffing with such a huge bet, and hoping you do have a hand, like the two pair, where it's a good chance you will call an overbet like this. However, if you never, ever call one of these bets in your poker career on the river, you will probably be ahead. The timing of the bet can also be significant because many players tend to not think about disguising that part of their online habits. For instance, long pauses before a check often indicate weakness, but your opponent wants you to think he was thinking about a bet. Conversely, if after a long pause he decides to bet, that usually means he was actually thinking about how much more he could get out of you. Quick calls on the flop will often mean a draw, especially if there are still others behind to act in the hand. Small bets can usually be taken at face value. Your opponent does not want a big pot, meaning a moderate strength or even weak hand just trying to steal an orphan pot. These kind of bets can present re-steal opportunities for you when you do recognize them. Also, watch out for those insta-checks, which generally mean your opponent would much rather be getting on to the next hand and just wants to fold as soon as possible. Oblige him. Now, with all that said, you just do not know if your opponent is distracted, multi-tabling, watching TV, surfing the internet, even drinking, or yes, sleeping at his computer. So, he may be off on his timing for other reasons other than deception. Well, again, because you can't see him, you simply have to ignore these realities and figure that all of your opponents are paying attention. Because really, most of them will be. Unless he is foolish enough to be chatting in the poker room table, then you have to take all of their online poker tells as valid and factor them into your next play. Alright, hope that helps you with understanding online poker tells a little more, and just remember to stop eating cookies at the poker table. If you want to see more poker video tutorials, visit the Poker School at PaddyPowerPoker.com.
He beat me. Straight up. Pay him. Pay that man his money.